After we announced my pregnancy, my SIL's plan to humiliate me. At my husband's party, backfired, landing her in jail, and a divorce. Before watching the video, write where you were watching it in the comments. Subscribe and like so that more people can watch this video. Enjoy. I'm Claire, 28 years old, female, and right now I'm still shaking as I type this. It's 2 a.m., my hands won't stop trembling, and my husband James, 31 male, is asleep in the next room with one hand resting on my belly like he always does now. We just announced my pregnancy a month ago, and I should be floating on cloud 9. Instead, all I can think about is the disaster of his birthday party last week, how his sister Emily, 29 female, tried to humiliate me in front of everyone, and how her little stunt ended with police lights flashing outside our house. To understand the chaos, you need to know Emily. From the moment I started dating James, she's been volatile. Not just protective sister energy, like straight up competition. She's always had this twisted dynamic with him, where if she wasn't center stage, she'd burn the house down to get there. The kind of person who cries if you don't compliment her hair immediately, but then makes some cruel joke about you 5 minutes later so everyone laughs at your expense. I used to think she'd grow out of it. Spoiler, she didn't. At first I tried. I really did. I bit my tongue when she mocked my job as a nurse. Oh, how noble, wiping butts for a living. I swallowed the hurt when she'd make jokes about how James only married me because I trapped him with stability. I figured she'll mellow, she'll find her own path, her own partner. But she never did. And the second we announced the pregnancy, it was like I'd stolen something from her. The smile she plastered on in front of James's parents didn't reach her eyes. That night she texted me, "Don't get too comfortable, sweetie. Not every baby makes it." That message stuck in my chest like a shard of glass. I didn't even show James because I didn't want to fuel the fire. I told myself maybe I imagined the malice. Maybe she was just socially tone deaf. But then came James's birthday. He's the kind of guy who hates big crowds, so we decided on a low-key gathering at our place. Close friends, family, food, music. Emily insisted on helping plan. And I thought, fine, maybe it'll smooth things over. Big mistake. From the second she arrived, she was performing. Flirty with James's friends, loudly reminding everyone how she used to always take care of her little brother. Whispering things to me like, "Don't drink too much, you never know." While patting my stomach like it was a prop. I kept catching this look in her eye, sharp, watchful, like she was waiting for her cue. And then, right as James was cutting his cake, she made her move. Emily waited until the exact moment everyone had gathered in the living room, plates of cake in hand, James smiling that bashful smile he always gets when people sing to him. She clinked her glass like she was about to make some heartfelt toast. My stomach dropped because I knew that look. Wide eyes, syrupy grin, fake warmth that barely covered the venom under it. She started sweet, talking about how proud she was of James, what a great brother he'd always been. People clapped, cheered, nodded. Then she pivoted, her voice suddenly sugary in that condescending way that makes your skin crawl. "And now," she said, looking directly at me, "since we're all celebrating big milestones, I think everyone deserves to know that our sweet Claire has been keeping a little secret. And I'm not talking about the pregnancy." I froze. My chest went cold. James immediately frowned, confused. She pulled out her phone with a flourish, unlocked it, and held up the screen like it was Exhibit A in a courtroom. "Here's Claire last year at the bar with Dr. de Todiner, Nathan. Ring any bells?" The photo was grainy, clearly zoomed in, but it showed me at an after-shift happy hour with a coworker. We were laughing, and yeah, his hand was on my shoulder. Innocent. Completely innocent. But the way she framed it, you could feel the air shift. People leaned forward. Whispers started. James went rigid next to me. I opened my mouth, but Emily didn't give me a second to breathe. She launched into this whole speech about how I'd been sneaking around, how she'd kept quiet for James's sake. But she just couldn't stay silent any longer because he deserved the truth before bringing a child into this mess. The humiliation was instant, like someone had ripped my skin off in front of everyone I cared about. My heart was hammering, my hands shaking so bad I nearly dropped my plate. I tried to speak. That's not what it looks like, I swear. But Emily talked over me, louder and louder until she was basically shouting. And then James snapped, "Enough, Emily!" His voice cut through everything. Everyone went dead silent. He stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. "That's my wife. That's the mother of my child. Sit the hell down." But Emily didn't. She smirked, actually smirked, and said, "Oh, James, you're blinded. She's playing you. Everyone sees it but you." And that's when the physical chaos started. The second James told her to sit down, Emily's whole act shattered. Her fake sweetness cracked into something raw and ugly. She slammed her wine glass on the coffee table so hard it tipped, splashing red across the rug, and stormed toward me. "You think you're untouchable because you're carrying his baby," she hissed, her face inches from mine. "You don't belong in this family, Claire. You never did." James moved between us instantly, but Emily shoved at his chest. Not playful, not dramatic. A full-force shove that made him stumble back a step. Gasps went up around the room. One of his friends tried to grab her arm, and she yanked free so violently she nearly knocked the cake onto the floor. "Emily, stop!" James shouted. But she didn't. She lunged for me. Like actually lunged. Her nails caught the side of my sweater, and I felt the fabric tear as she screamed, "You're ruining everything!" My body reacted before my brain did. I clutched my belly and staggered backward, my whole being focused on protecting the baby. I remember the sound more than anything. Chairs scraping, people shouting. The thud as Emily's arm hit the side table and sent a lamp crashing to the floor. That was the moment everything flipped. James's best friend Ryan grabbed Emily from behind and held her back, but she thrashed like a wild animal, kicking, screaming, spitting every venomous word she could think of. "She's a liar! She's trapping you! That baby isn't even yours!" It was chaos. Guests were frozen, some whispering, some recording in their phones. James was torn between checking in me and keeping Emily from breaking free. And I just stood there shaking, sweater ripped, tears burning hot down my face. The humiliation was one thing, but the rage boiling inside me, that was something new. Because in that moment, watching her flail and scream, I realized Emily wasn't just unstable. She was dangerous. And if she could do this in front of 30 people, what was she capable of behind closed doors? James finally yelled for someone to call the police, and that's when Emily went nuclear. She broke free for half a second, grabbed the wedding photo off our wall, and smashed it on the hardwood. Shards of glass scattered everywhere. "You'll regret this!" she shrieked as Ryan pinned her again. "Both of you!" Sirens were already in the distance. When the police finally arrived, the scene must have looked insane. Guests were scattered, some standing awkwardly by the door, others whispering by the kitchen island, a couple filming like it was free reality TV. The living room was wrecked. Lamp on the floor, wine stains on the rug, shards of our wedding photo glinting across the hardwood, and at the center of it all, Emily. thrashing in Ryan's grip like a rabid animal. The officers walked in cautious but firm, hands hovering near their belts. "What's going on here?" one asked. James's voice broke as he pointed at Emily. "My sister attacked my wife. She's pregnant. She lunged at her, tore her clothes. We need her out of here." Emily's head snapped toward us, eyes wild. "Are you kidding me? Me? He's lying. She's a cheater. I was just protecting him." She jerked her chin toward me, spit flying, and she shouted, "Check her phone. You'll see. She's been sneaking around with that doctor." I wanted to collapse into the floor. My face was hot, my chest tight, but before I could even respond, James's mom, Carol, stepped forward, and instead of defending me, she gasped, "Emily, honey, please, calm down. Let's just talk this out." That nearly broke me, because there I was, pregnant, clothes torn, humiliated, and his own mother was still giving Emily the benefit of the doubt. But James wasn't having it. "No, Mom, enough." She put her hands on Claire. "She destroyed our home. I don't care if she's my sister. She's done." The cops took that as their cue. They cuffed Emily, and the scream that were ripped out of her made the whole house freeze. "James! You bastard! You're choosing her over me? After everything?" She kicked against the floor so hard the officers had to half carry her out. The silence after the door shut was deafening. Some guests mumbled excuses and slipped out. Others gave me awkward pats on the shoulder like, "Sorry, your life just exploded in front of us." I couldn't stop shaking. James wrapped his arms around me and whispered, "I'm so sorry. I should have cut her off a long time ago." And in that moment I realized this wasn't just about Emily. It was about all the times I'd bitten my tongue, swallowed my anger, and tried to keep the peace. I'd been shrinking myself to avoid setting her off. But now she'd set herself off and crossed a line she couldn't uncross. Update. Okay, wow. I didn't expect this to blow up when I first posted. Reading through your comments has been surreal. Some of y'all said I should have pressed charges the second she lunged at me, and honestly, you're right. Others DM'd me with stories about their own nightmare in-laws, and I feel less alone now. To answer a few common questions, yes, the cops took her in. They booked her for disorderly conduct and assault. Yes, James and I are pressing charges because this isn't just family drama anymore. It's about protecting me and the baby. And yes, she's still in denial. Apparently she called James from jail, sobbing, saying it was all my fault for turning him against her. And here's the kicker. Her husband, Mark, came to pick up her stuff the next day. He looked exhausted, said quietly, "I can't do this anymore," and mentioned divorce papers. My jaw nearly hit the floor. Turns out Emily's been spiraling for a while, and this was the final straw for him too. So yeah, my sister-in-law tried to ruin me at my husband's birthday party, and ended up detonating her own life instead. When the sirens cut through the backyard and the officers pushed through our front door, everything went surreal, like someone switched the world from a color to a clinical washed-out film. Guests clustered in small, stunned groups. The lamp lay in pieces. Cake smears dotted a runner. Emily was still thrashing in Ryan's grip, hair wild, eyes like pinpoints of fury. "Ma'am, step back," one officer said. James's voice was a thin, fractured thing when he answered, "She attacked my wife. She lunged, tore her sweater, smashed our photo. She needs to be removed." He said it like he was pointing at a stranger, not his sister. Emily's face snapped to him, contorted with disbelief and a dangerous sort of theatrical grief. "You'll regret this," she screamed. "You always pick her. You always pick the convenient one." The words were half cry, half accusation. When the cop cuffed her, the ring of metal sounded like the closing of a trap. She kicked, they had to half carry her. The scream she made as they hauled her out is still in my ears, a raw animal thing that made people flinch. After the front door slammed, silence hit the room like a physical weight. My palms were slick. My belly felt hollow and fierce at the same time. James knelt in front of me like he was trying to anchor me to the floor. "Are you okay? Did she hit you?" His hands were everywhere, checking my arm, my shoulder, like he was making sure I still existed. I cried, ugly and surprising, mostly from the shock. Not from pain exactly, mostly from the violation. The crowd thinned. Some guests left in awkward, embarrassed silence. Others hovered, offering platitudes. "Call me if you need anything." The kind of words that are warm but useless. Ryan apologized until his voice cracked. Carol, my mother-in-law, hovered near the doorway, face soft and conflicted, and I caught her watching Emily being led away with something like lost pity in her eyes. It was a small betrayal that burned. The woman who'd clucked about family harmony was already trying to read the situation in Emily's favor. By the time the officers took statements, my voice had steadied into a bluntness I didn't expect. I told them what happened, how Emily shoved James, lunged at me, tore my sweater, grabbed the wedding photo and broke it. I mentioned the text she'd sent before the party. Not every baby makes it, and the photo she'd brandished like evidence. The officer typed it all down, clinical and slow, then looked at James. "Are you pressing charges?" he asked. James didn't hesitate. "Yes, assault. Property damage." His face folded into this grim resolve I'd only seen when he'd fixed a crooked roof beam. Focused, sure. It felt good and terrifying at once. That night, after the crowd left and the house settled into a tense hush, Mark, Emily's husband, came by to collect her things. He looked hollowed out like someone who'd been bleeding quietly for months. He put her bag on the porch and, without raising his eyes, said, "She crossed a line. I'm filing for separation. I can't keep doing this." He walked away before I could process the kind of dark relief that announcement should have brought me. Later, Emily called from the holding cell. She sobbed and blamed me between gasps. "You turned him against me. You ruined us. You'll pay." Her voice was slippery with threat and a kind of delusional entitlement. I let it go to voicemail. "Reading some of your comments in the last thread made me feel less crazy. A bunch of you said file everything, press charges, get a restraining order. We're doing that." But a lot of responses also reminded me that the legal path, though necessary, doesn't fix the smear, the fear, or the way people's faces register doubt when a messy family fight happens in front of them. So here's where I am at 2 a.m. The cops have her on record. James is furious and ashamed and protective in equal measures. Mark is leaving. Emily's in a cell. And I'm two things at once. Relieved that the immediate danger is contained and hungry in a new way. Not for vengeance that destroys, but for a kind of sweet, clean undoing. She tried to humiliate me publicly. She tried to make my pregnancy a scandal. I'm done shrinking. I'm gathering every message, every photo, every witness account. I'm gonna build a record so airtight that when the truth lands, it'll land so hard she can't pretend anything else. Not out of malice, because I want to protect my child, my marriage, and my dignity, but also because somewhere under the shock, a small, cold part of me is thinking clearly. If she made a public spectacle to ruin me, I'll use the daylight she craves to expose what she really is. That's the beginning of it. The cops did their job tonight. Now I have to do mine. The morning after the party, I woke up still in a daze. My phone was buzzing nonstop. Missed calls, texts, even Facebook messages from guests who'd been there. Some were apologizing for not stepping in. Others were gossiping, like this was some wild neighborhood scandal instead of my actual life. James was in the kitchen, slamming cabinet doors harder than necessary. When I walked in, he just handed me a mug of coffee and muttered, "She called me from jail." Again. I froze. What did she say this time? He let out a humorless laugh. "That I've been brainwashed. That you trapped me with a baby. And she's the only one who truly cares about me. Claire, she's not well. She's completely unhinged." Before I could respond, there was a sharp knock at the door. It was Mark, Emily's husband. His face looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. He wouldn't even step inside, just stood on our porch with his hollow expression. "I'm filing for divorce," he said flatly. "Last night was the last straw. I can't keep living like this, always cleaning up after her explosions." He glanced at me then, his voice softening. "I'm sorry for what she did to you. Truly." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to hug him. Part of me wanted to scream at him for all the times he'd enabled her. But he just handed James a manila envelope and left without another word. Inside the envelope were copies of restraining order papers he was filing against his own wife. That was when it really hit me. Emily wasn't just spiraling. She was detonating everything in her path. Her marriage, her family ties, her reputation. And yet, somehow, I still felt unsafe. Because if she could lose control like that once, what was stopping her from coming after me again? Later that week, it got worse. I came home from a prenatal appointment to find our mailbox rubbed off its post and tossed into the middle of the yard. Inside the broken box was a crumpled photo of James and me, slashed right through the middle with red marker. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped it on the grass. James called the cops again, but by the time they arrived, she was long gone. They logged it as harassment and added it to the record, but their tone was tired, like they'd already pegged her as a lost cause. That night lying awake, I realized she wanted me scared. She wanted me to regret ever marrying her brother, to regret carrying his child. But fear wasn't going to protect me. No, I needed to flip this. I needed to show her in a way she could never forget that she didn't hold the power anymore. That was the night I decided revenge wasn't just an option. It was survival. After the vandalized mailbox incident, I couldn't stop thinking about how Emily's whole identity was built on appearances. She thrived on being seen as the loudest, prettiest, most adored person in the room. The humiliation at James's party hadn't taught her anything. It had just made home more dangerous. If I wanted this to stop, I had to take the thing she valued most and turn it against her. So I started small, documenting everything. Every creepy voicemail, every slashed photo, every text calling me a parasite or baby trap. I gathered screenshots from guests who'd filmed her meltdown at the party. James's best friend, Ryan, even sent me a crystal clear video of her smashing the wedding photo and screaming that the baby wasn't his. I kept it quiet for a week, letting her think she'd scared me into silence. Then came my opening, a neighborhood Facebook group. Emily had always loved posting there. Pictures of her perfect family, fake motivational quotes, thinly veiled humble brags about being such a supportive wife. She practically lived for those little hearts and comments. One night, after another round of harassing texts, I dropped the video in the group. No commentary, no rant. Just the clip of her lunging at me, tearing my sweater, screaming like a demon, and smashing the photo. And I captioned it simply, This is what my sister-in-law did at my husband's birthday party while I was 6 months pregnant. It exploded. Within hours, dozens of comments piled up. Neighbors she'd alienated over the years came crawling out of the woodwork with their own horror stories. Emily stealing packages, screaming at kids for walking on her sidewalk, showing up drunk at PTA meetings. The perfect image she'd clung to shattered like the frame she'd destroyed in my living room. James's mom, Carol, called in tears, begging me to take the video down. Claire, please, this is still family. You don't have to ruin her. But I wasn't the one who ruined her. Emily had done that herself. I just stopped hiding it. The fallout spread fast. Her job at the local real estate office put her on leave pending review. Her so-called friends stopped inviting her to brunches. Even Mark, already filing for divorce, filed for emergency custody, citing the video as proof she wasn't stable around their kids. And the best part? Emily knew exactly who had pulled the trigger. She left me a voicemail, sobbing, then screaming, "You think you've won? You think you can humiliate me like this?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The whole town was watching her unravel in real time, and for once, I wasn't the one shrinking. By the time a week had passed, Emily wasn't just humiliated. She was radioactive. That Facebook video had done more damage than I even anticipated. People she used to treat like props suddenly had the receipts to justify cutting her off, and they did it with zero hesitation. Her boss at the real estate office called James to verify some details, and the next day, Emily was officially terminated. No clients wanted to be associated with her. Not after the video of her screaming that I was trapping James with a baby made the rounds. Realtors live and die on image, and Emily's was scorched earth. Mark pushed harder with the divorce. He filed for emergency custody, and when the court saw the video, they gave him temporary full custody of the kids. Emily lost not just her husband, but her daily mom role she'd always used to play martyr. That cut deeper than any punishment I could have dreamed up, watching her power over her own family dissolve in front of her eyes. And Emily didn't take it quietly. Oh no. First came the phone calls. Dozens a day, alternating between sobbing apologies and full-on screaming tirades. James blocked her, I blocked her, but she just switched numbers. Then came the drive-bys. I'd catch her car creeping down our street, headlights off, like she thought no one would notice. Twice, James caught her parked across from our house, just watching. We called the cops again, and this time with the video evidence and her record from the party, they didn't brush it off. They served her with the restraining order. But Emily was the kind of person who saw rules as suggestions. A few nights later, James and I came home from dinner to find our front door scratched up, "Liar" scrawled across it in lipstick. My heart sank, but I also felt something else rising. A grim, electric clarity. She wasn't just lashing out at me anymore. She was unraveling in public in ways no one could ignore. And here's the thing. Instead of feeling small or afraid, I felt steady. Because every single time she tried to claw me down, she only made her own hole deeper. The town knew. The police knew. The courts knew. Her own children were safer without her. When I tucked myself into bed that night, James's hand resting over my stomach, I realized that Emily had lost the one thing she could never get back: control. And that more than the handcuffs, more than the divorce papers, was her real prison. It's been a month since Emily keyed our front door and left that smear of lipstick like a final signature, and honestly, life feels quiet, strange, but good. The kind of quiet where you realize just how much noise you'd been living under without even noticing. The restraining order stuck. The cops caught her violating it twice. Once circling our street, once when she showed up at Mark's place screaming about seeing the kids. Both times she spent the night in holding. Mark's lawyer didn't even have to push hard. The judge granted him full custody. Emily gets supervised visits only if she can prove she's stable enough. The divorce went through fast. Mark told James that for the first time in years he can breathe in his own house. He thanked me, for pulling the thread that finally unraveled everything. I didn't know how to respond except to say I hoped his kids would grow up healthier without constant chaos. James and we're stronger. That night at his birthday party, when she lunged at me, when the photo frame shattered and the glass spread across the floor, I thought it might scar us forever. But it became the opposite. We stopped tiptoeing around her moods. We chose each other fiercely and without apology. He told me last night, hand on my belly like always, "You're my family now. That's all that matters." As for Emily, her reputation is beyond repair. She tried to post one of her classic woe is me rants online, painting herself as the victim of a smear campaign. But people weren't buying it anymore. Every comment shredded her lies with receipts, links, and first-hand stories. Even Carol, who once defended her blindly, has gone quiet. James caught his mom crying the other day, finally admitting, "I think I lost both my children in one night. And here's the truth I've been holding close. I didn't set out to destroy Emily. I just stopped shielding her from the consequences of her own actions. I let the world see her the way I'd always seen her, and she did the rest. Reddit, when I first posted about all this, I was scared. I was humiliated. I thought Emily had taken something from me I'd never get back. But standing here now, 6 months pregnant, my husband's hand steady on mine, I feel something else. Free. She wanted to humiliate me at his birthday party. Instead, she humiliated herself so thoroughly that it cost her everything she thought she controlled. Jail, divorce, custody, reputation, and all I had to do was hold up the mirror. Some of you told me revenge should be sweet. I think mine was more than that. Mine was simple, inevitable, and permanent. Emily wanted me to regret marrying into her family, but the only regret I have now is ever letting her think she could break me